Hi everyone, I'm going to do a little setup in Premiere Pro for you to understand how you could work between After Effects and Premiere. So I'm just going to launch Premiere. I've done a little folder here called Premiere Tutorial, and inside that folder I've got a Premiere. I'm going to delete that because I'm going to make a new one, but I've got my media, my videos inside my Premiere tutorial folder in a folder called media. So I've got that organized like that, and I'm going to make an edit folder inside here as well. So I'm going to new project. Now close that down. This is important. You've got to give it a name. So I'm going to call this edit exercise number 1. And I'm going to browse to set the location of this. This is important. Otherwise, it'll get set in a default location and might be hard for you to find later, which you will need to do. So I'm going to navigate to my desktop, put it into Premiere Tutorial, and inside there I'm actually going to make a new folder called, I just go PP for Premiere Pro. That's the way I like to do it. And OK to that. Okay, you see I've got this very simple setup here: media, timeline, and monitor window, if you like. Oh, it's going to be what I edit on my timeline, I will see here. I can organize these windows a bit more in a minute, but for now let's just get started by importing. Again, I just double clicked in there to import. I can also go File, Import, or Command I. But here I'm just going to go double click, Premiere Tutorial, Media. I'm actually going to import that whole folder because then I've got it nicely organized in here. Otherwise I could do it this way. I could go right click, New Bin. In Premiere they call a folder a bin. It's just an edit thing. It's just the way editors like to talk. I'm going to call it Media. And inside there I will import my movies. I've got a whole bunch of video files here. Okay, let's have a look at these movies. I can navigate inside with that little arrow there, or I can double click on the folder to open it up. Let's see what I've got. At this point I want to decide what size I want my project to be. So like in After Effects I needed to make a composition, right? In Premiere we have the same thing, but we call it a sequence. So I'll right click, New Item, Sequence, or File, New Sequence, or Command N. All give you the same thing, right? So I'm just going to right click, New Item Sequence. Now this here, I want you to pick any one of these presets. It doesn't really matter, but the one I want you to pick is, I want you to have 1080p and 24 or 25 frames a second. One of those two. You see I've got both those options inside my RE folder. These are all camera presets. That'll do for now. It's going to go with that. And I've got a sequence here. It's called Sequence 2. And here it is down on my timeline. Now I'm going to just dump one of these movies into my, or I'll double click on one. Let's double click on this one. And it's opened in a source monitor. I'm just going to grab that and put it there so I can see. Okay. All right. Sorry. So now once I've double clicked on it, I can drag through here, but I'm really just browsing in my source monitor. I'm browsing the footage in my project. In order to cut it and edit it, I need to drag this footage down to my timeline. And I get this clip mismatch warning sign saying, do I keep the existing settings or do I change existing settings? It's a difficult question. So I'm just going to, let's look at the settings on the sequence there, 1920 by 1080, 24p. What are the settings on this film? They're much smaller. 720 by 430. I want to keep my existing settings. So let's try that again in Bruges. I'm going to keep existing settings. And if I go over here, you'll see it's quite a bit smaller than my monitor, but that's okay. I'm going to scale it up. So how do I do that? I need effects controls. I'm going to put that in this tab here. Effects controls can be found in under the window menu. And in there I can scale my movie. It's quite a bit wider, isn't it? I'll just do that for now. Scale it up. And I'm just going to pick a few. I want to make a little edit between. I want that shot there. So I could cut it down here using my cutting tools and move it around. That's not really how editors work generally. They don't really drag a whole clip to the timeline and then cut it up on the timeline. It's a bit of a clunky way of working. More likely you're going to be double clicking here, opening the clip in the source monitor and finding the clip that you want here. This is a fantastic movie, by the way, if you haven't seen it. Highly recommend. One of my personal faves. Where's that shot we were just looking at with on the canal? Just say I want this I find a bit I want. There it is. I'm going to go I for in point, play forward with the spacebar, stop and say O for out point. So I've just selected in and out point and then drag that to the timeline and keep existing settings. Now I've got my clip over there. And I can scale it up. And now I can find another clip from another film. This film is going to be a very different shape, isn't it? It's an old 1962 black and white film. So now when I select in point, spacebar, forward, out point, I'm going to get another, see that? It's much smaller. So again, I could scale this up by going to my effects controls, hitting the scale tab. I'm going to be cropping this a lot. So if you're editing media from multiple sources, this is why I've done the exercise this way, you're going to have to make a decision about what size your final video is going to be. Now you can change sequence settings here, or I can just make a new sequence. And again, find a different setting, 1080p, 24 again. Maybe this time I'll go sequence settings. This is like your composition settings in After Effects, and we can change the size in here. So it's similar in that way at this stage, but it's much more powerful than After Effects in managing a huge amount of media. Here I've got multiple clips that are you know, an hour, more than an hour, or up to 2 hours long, and I'm going to select little moments out of them and build another edit out of these clips. So it's really for bringing media together and creating edits. Now we can integrate this with After Effects, but I'll do that in the next video.